Tonight, from our nation's capital, it's college basketball with an interesting twist. The Georgetown Hoyas are led by Coach John Thompson III, trying to live up to lofty preseason rankings behind a pair of Wooden Award candidates. They entertain another Thompson, younger brother Ronnie, and a Ball State Cardinals team hoping to gain some national attention. It's enough to make a Hall of Fame father proud as a sibling rivalry reaches new heights next. We're at the Verizon Center for this intersectional matchup as Ronnie Thompson and the Cardinals of Ball State come in to take on big brother John III and the Hoyas of Georgetown University. Hello, everyone. Charlie Neal, along with former Hoya Mark Tillman, and welcome to Verizon Center and this historic contest. And Mark, when you look at this Georgetown team, one of the things they always want to do is establish the inside game with Jeff Green and the big fellow Roy Hibbert.
Yes, it's very important that Georgetown's established their two key players, their low posts, Roy Hibbert and Jeff Green. Roy Hibbert is their leading scorer for Georgetown, as well as Jeff Green is one of the other leading scorers on the team. It's going to be very important that they establish their low post game very quickly in the game.
And as far as the outside game is concerned, Jonathan Wallace and Jesse Sapp will be counted on to hit the long ball.
Jesse Sapp and Jonathan Wallace will be called on to hit the long side shot. If Ball State sits back into a zone, they're going to be required to hit that long shot in order to open up the post down low.
All right, as far as Ball State is concerned, they're going to be challenged inside. Michael Rollins is a 6'10" guy. He's going to have to play very big tonight.
Yes, he's going to have to play very big tonight. He doesn't have much basketball experience. He didn't play in high school. He played a little bit in junior college, and this is his first collegiate year. So he's going to be very important for them to establish their low post with Ball State.
All right, at 6'10", Michael Rollins will lead the team from Ball State. It's the first meeting between these two brothers as head coaches. It's an emotional night for the Thompson family, and we'll be back with the opening tip-off from the Verizon Center in just a moment. Back here at the Verizon Center, fans still filing in for this historic event as the two brothers, Ronnie and John III, go at it for the first time as head coaches at the respective schools. There's Ronnie Thompson in his first year as the head coach at Ball State. He's the 17th coach at the school, and it was named the head coach 3 days after April Fool's, April 4th of this past year. His brother on the other side, John Thompson III, a graduate of Princeton in his third year, and has won 45 games in that short period of time. And you look at the comparison between the two, John the older brother by 3 years, and you see the career coaching record for John, who was also the head coach at Princeton University. He also played at Princeton while his brother Ronnie played at Georgetown. And I guess if there's an ironic twist to all of that, Mark, is the fact that Ronnie has all the ties at Georgetown as a player and as assistant coach, but he winds up as the coach at Ball State while his brother wound up after Princeton as the head man in Georgetown.
Yeah, that seems kind of ironic that Ronnie's at Ball State with all the ties that he does have at Georgetown University. But I guess tonight we will see the kind of tempo that Ball State plays tonight. I think it's going to be kind of relative to what Georgetown used to play.
Well, you look at the starting lineup for the Cardinals of Ball State. Steve Horton along with Chris Ames is in the lineup tonight for Ball State. Michael Rollins is the man we talked about earlier. He's the man in the middle at 6'10", along with Skip Mills, who's getting the start tonight, along with Anthony Newell, the leading scorer. As far as their head coach, we already talked about Ronnie Thompson being the head coach at Ball State. Georgetown University. And we talked about their outside perimeter shooting, and they're going to go with Anthony Wallace, or Jonathan Wallace rather, and Jesse Sapp at the guards. The man in the middle Of course, is Roy Hibbert. And there's Jeff Green right there. He is out of Hyattsville, Maryland, a junior, averaging 11.8 points per game. And there's Roy Hibbert, 7'2", and he's averaging 15 points per contest. And again, let's look at the starting lineup. Wallace, Sapp, Hibbert, DeJuan Summers, the young man from Baltimore, who's going to get the start tonight, a freshman out of McDonough High, who was among the top 25 high school players coming out of high school a year ago at McDonough High in Baltimore. How about the keys for the game tonight, Mark?
Well, the keys for the night for Ball State is that Ball State must have an up-tempo style. And for them to have this up-tempo style, they must be able to make shots with from the guys that they have. And for Georgetown, they must take care of the ball with the up-tempo that Ball State is going to try to play. But they definitely need to take advantage of the inside presence that they have with Jeff Green and Roy Hibbert.
And, of course, the Ball State team in their visiting dark jerseys, the Cardinal Red, as you might call it. Georgetown in their home light jerseys. And it'll be Micah Rollins jumping center against Jeff Green for Georgetown. Our officials, Mike Kitts, Donnie Gray, and J.D. Collins. And it's going to be Georgetown's ball to start the game. So taking the ball out will be Jonathan Wallace, the junior from Harvest, Alabama. Georgetown started the season with 2 wins over Hartford and Vanderbilt. They lost a heartbreaker by 13 points to Old Dominion at McDonough Gymnasium. And then they won their last outing against Fairfield, 73-60. So they come into the game 3-1 as Hibbert gets it loose inside, misses the easy layup.
Yes, Roy is going to have to make those shots. I mean, he gets that close to the basket, he's really going to need to put it down. But that's what they need to do, is establish their low post real quick in the game.
Newell, and he misses everything for the Cardinal. He just threw up an air ball. The redshirt sophomore from Simeon High in Chicago. He was the team's leading scorer, is the team's leading scorer, 12.2 points per contest. Last year played 27 games, started 1.
Ball State's coming out with their pressure defense as they started to do. They're going to make this an ugly game, I believe.
And that's what Ronnie Thompson told us earlier today. If this game goes along smoothly, it's not favoring them. If it goes and it's an ugly game, then they have an opportunity to win it.
Exactly. That's the style that Ronnie Thompson wants to play with his team. He's bringing back the old Georgetown days up here at Ball State.
Wallace being guarded by Horton. And they move the ball around the perimeter, and they turn it over once again. This one, the first actual turnover for Georgetown, as the pass to Hibbert couldn't find its mark. And this Ball State team started the season 2-0 after wins over Northern Colorado and Prairie View, but lost their last 3 to UT Chattanooga. And then they played a tournament in Kansas, in Las Vegas rather, against Kansas, who just beat Florida, the #1 team in the nation. And they also lost to Western Kentucky. This shot is off the mark by Chris Ames. Ames is a man who's just getting back into the lineup after suffering a broken jaw, had his mouth wired shut and wasn't able to eat for a couple of weeks, so that's why he's wearing that mask. As the pass to Wallace down low for 2. So the first 2 points of the ball game are put on the board by the Hoyas of Georgetown, 2-0.
Yep, this is what Georgetown wants to do. They want to be able to get easy baskets by cutting back door if they're overplaying.
Horton charged with the turnover. Well, let's watch at the other end.
This is the premier play for Georgetown. Jonathan Wallace stands there to set his man up and just cut back door. Jeff Green made a great pass to him back door.
You played at Georgetown. You played in high school with both of these brothers. You were like in between Ronnie and John Jr. And as we go along, we'll talk about your impressions of who was the better player, who you thought would really be a coach, and who you thought wouldn't.
Well, definitely John was definitely the better player. I never thought that John would be a coach, but I always kind of knew Ronnie would be a coach, considering when we played together at Georgetown that he was always trying to coach.
John Thompson and Ronnie Thompson, the only one of two brother coaching combinations in the nation, as this is a three-pointer from downtown for Jeff Green, who's shooting 28% from three-point range, and it's 5-0 Hoyas.
Jeff Green can make that shot if you leave him wide open. He'll knock that down all day.
Inside, there's Michael Rollin working little baby hook shot, and it goes over Hibbert, and Ball State's finally on the board.
If they can get that kind of play out of Michael Rollins, it's going to be a long day for Georgetown. They need to stop that inside play.
Skip Mills guarding Sapp down low, and this one goes out of bounds off the hands of Dewan Summers, who had trouble controlling. There you look at John Thompson III.
Here's Green over here fading to the corner. No one is out there. He hits the open jump shot. He can knock that down all day if he's left wide open.
Saw a shot of John Thompson III. He is 2-3 all time against Mid-American Conference teams, including his stint while at Princeton. He played Ball State only once as a head coach, and that was when he was a head coach at Princeton, as Mills is called for the travel. We're talking about the brothers, the brother coaching combos, John and Ronnie. The only other brothers that are head coaches in Division I are James Jones at Yale and Joe Jones at Columbia. They play each other twice a year. This is the first time these two brothers have ever played against each other as head coaches. In fact, they'll play again next year in Muncie, Indiana, when Georgetown visits Ball State. Inside, down low, Wallace gets it and one.
This particular offense is perfect for an overplay for a team that plays over defense. If they tend to keep, if they continue to overplay Georgetown, they will get backdoors all day. That's what they want to do, is get the backdoor play.
So Jonathan Wallace, as Newell picks up his first personal foul at the line, he is perfect this year at the charity stripe, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. And it's a 6-point lead, the biggest lead of the night for the Hoyas, 8-2. Horton dumps it inside. Here's Newell driving down the lane. Swatted away by Hibbert, his 16th block of the season.
Yeah. Yes, they have a tremendous height advantage down low. The smaller Ball State players are going to have to realize they have a 7-footer down there. They're probably not used to seeing 7-footers quite often.
One of the things when you look at this Georgetown team last year, all season long, this team stayed with the same lineup. But he's had to, that is, John Thompson III has had to experiment a little bit with his lineup this year.
Yes, he had to experiment and change up a little bit, but he got 3 core players back. And if the other players can come in and play their role, this team would be very difficult to beat.
Rollin with the basket. He's 2 for 2 in shooting, and Sapp gets the outlet pass. Down the lane, foul, and one. Credit the basket to Dewan Summers, the freshman out of Baltimore, Maryland. He made his first college start against Fairfield in their last game. He had 17 points and 3 rebounds in that one, and he's coming up big here tonight. We'll be back. 10-4 is our score. Georgetown over Ball State, along with Mark Tillman. I'm Charlie Neal here at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, for this matchup. And we've talked about the fact that the two brothers are meeting for the first time as head coaches. The only other time they opposed each other as coaches was back in 1999 when Princeton beat Georgetown in the NIT. Both were assistants at that time. John was at Princeton and Ronnie was an assistant at Georgetown. And let's look at the marquee matchup so far. It's Mills. There he is, Skip Mills, going against Jeff Green. 6'3" against 6'9". Mills a senior, Green a junior. A lot of talk about whether he's going to stay and come back for his senior year here at Georgetown. I think he needs to stay for 4 years.
Yeah, he definitely needs to stay for 4 years.
Summers completes the three-point play, and the lead is 7 for the Hoyas. Their biggest lead of the night. 7 points. 15 and a half to go in the first half. Newell has got 2 personal fouls on him for Ball State, so he's out of the lineup right now. Here's the shot by Horton. It won't fall, and the rebound by Wallace.
If Georgetown continues to handle their pressure as they have been, it's going to be a long night for Ball State.
DeAndre Payton is in the Ball State lineup, number 15. In place of Newell, who's on the bench with 2 fouls. Hibbert looking for somebody to give it to. He gets the ball back from Wallace and one. Very close to a travel on that, wasn't it?
I don't know. It was pretty close there, but that's one of the key points. They definitely want to get the ball into Roy Hibbert with the smaller matchup that Ball State presents.
Let's look at it once again inside.
Here's Roy Hibbert going against a smaller Ball State player. I mean, if he could just turn around and lay it in all day, it's going to be pretty much nights out.
DeAndre Payton was the man who was guarding him. He gives away about 6 inches to Roy Hibbert, and Hibbert's trying to complete the 3-point play, and he does. 14-4, 10-point lead. Georgetown 5 of 7 from the field so far. Ball State just 2 of 7.
Georgetown out doing a little trapping themselves. Created the turnover.
Stovall, that's the 3rd turnover for the Cardinals of Ball State. Of course, Ronnie Thompson replaced Tim Buckley, who kind of cleaned up the program, but it was about wins and losses there, and now he's an assistant to Steve Alford at Iowa.
Georgetown needs to be a little bit more aggressive now. The team is back into a zone.
Down the middle, just didn't fall for Summers that time. Here's Stovall out high. Skip Mills dumps it inside, taken away. And coming away with it was Summers, DeJuan Summers. Sapp wide open for the 3. Off the back of the iron, Hibbert with the rebound. Roy Hibbert. He is 10th in the conference in the Big East in offensive rebounding, and that was very evident right there. Dumped inside to Hibbert. He couldn't hold on. Knocked away off the hands of DeAndre Payton of Ball State. Stovall will check out of the lineup for Ball State, and coming back in is Steve Horton, the junior out of Western Hills High in Cincinnati, Ohio. He transferred from Cincinnati State University along with Jarrell Redden. Mills will go to the sideline right now. Also, Summers goes out of the Georgetown lineup. And checking in for the Hoyas is Mark Eggerson. Eggerson is a sophomore out of Wilmington, Delaware, went to Glasgow High. In fact, had a double-double in that loss to Old Dominion at Madonna. 11 points, 10 rebounds, and Sapp picks it up for 2. Make that Jeff Green, rather.
Yes, if Georgetown takes their time to move the ball around, the middle would be open all day. And Jeff Green can get those kind of shots all night.
12-point lead, 13:20 to go. First half. Hoyas been in control throughout. It was a 5-2 ball game, and since that time, it's been an 11-2 run for the Hoyas. Shot clock at 5. The shot is up, and it's good. A 3-pointer that time. And burying it is Jalon Perryman, a sophomore from Rogers Academy in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, Ball State worked the ball around and got a good shot.
There's a steal by Horton. And the bounce pass off to the right side, and completing the play is Peyton Stovall from Lafayette, Indiana. Here's a young man who's glad to be back in the lineup. He's had a pair of knee surgeries. In 05, he tore the ACL in the left knee, and he tore it again in November. That was in March the first time. Then he tore it again in November. He's back healthy now.
Georgetown is going to have to be very careful handling the ball against this team because they're a very scrappy team.
One of the things that Ronnie Thompson is going to work you hard all the time, and they leave no stones unturned as Jesse Sapp gets the basket. And one of the things he said when he was coming in was he had to change the culture, he had to change the attitude, and had to make them work hard. And their strength and conditioning coach has gotten them in shape. They're not going to be outshaped by any other team. Back here at the Verizon Center, make that a 9-point lead for the Hoyas of Georgetown, and they've been passing the ball very well early on in this contest, and you see Wallace finishing that one.
Yes, it's very good passing going on by Jeff Green. I mean, he's one of the focal points on the offense. He's a very good passer, and you have to put a lot of pressure on him so he can't make those easy passes.
And of course, it's evident they've gotten a lot of down low baskets. They're shooting 64% from the field, 7 of 11. They shot 49% for the season coming into the game. Ball State is 4 of 9, only 44% from the field. A team that shot 35% from outside coming in. Here's Stovall across court. They're having trouble with that defense of Georgetown getting the ball inside, aren't they?
Yes, they have a major problem getting the ball inside.
But they also get a basket off that time.
That was a good move by Payton.
Yeah. So it's 18-11. 7-point lead for the Hoyas. They led by as many as 12 points here in the first half. Ball State has hit its last 3 shots down the floor.
One thing you don't want to do, you don't want to give this Ball State team any life. If you got a chance to put them away, you want to put them away.
3-pointer no good. Battle for the loose ball. It'll be Georgetown retaining possession as the ball went off to the hands of Stovall. John Thompson, the third. Hoyas in the preseason ranked number 8 in the nation, with their highest preseason ranking in 10 years. And that was when they were ranked 5th and finished 4th in the nation, led by Allen Iverson. And there's a turnover, or is there a foul? That's a foul on Eggerson.
Yes,
so
that was
Eggerson
a questionable
picks up
call.
his first.
I think that was a questionable call there. I don't know if that was a charge,
but I'll tell you, Ronnie will take it, and so will Ball State. And they'll try to narrow this lead even more. It's down to 7. They were down by as many as 12. They've scored the last 3 times down the floor. Let's see if they can convert this time. Stovall into the court, trying to look to the left side, but there's nothing there.
You got Michael there really calling for the ball. He thinks he can do something against Vernon Macklin.
Shot clock is down to 6 seconds right now. Down low to Rollins. Stovall gets open, and it's good. 2-pointer. Last 4 times down the floor for the Cardinals of Ball State, and they've cut the lead to 5. They were down 16-4, and they've been on a 9-2 run since then.
You can see these Ball State guys are getting a lot of confidence in what's going on out here.
But wide open inside was Mark Eggerson, coming from the weak side along the baseline to make it a 2013 game.
If Georgetown be patient, they can get those kind of looks all day. They can't get rattled by the full court pressure that Ball State is presenting on them.
This Georgetown team last year had 6 players that averaged between 8 and 12 points per contest. They had Bowman and Cook and Darrell Owens. All of those players are gone. They combined for an average of 29 points a game, as this one is blocked from behind by Jeff Green, but inside with the basket is Peyton Stovall.
I tell you, this Ball State team is not that bad. They're real scrappy. They're getting the loose balls, and Georgetown is going to have to get after these guys. They're going to make a game if they don't.
Well, you look at Green, Hibbert, and Wallace, and we talked about the fact that they're back here with Georgetown. Here's a pass off for Vernon Macklin, who gets his first basket of the night. 22-15. Well, you talk about those 3 I mentioned. Green, Hibbert, and Wallace, they combined averaged 31 points a game a year ago for the Hoyas. And let's look at the run. Outscored Georgetown 11-6. That is Ball State in the last 4 minutes. But they missed that time down the floor. One of the few times they missed in the last 5 or 6 possessions.
I think if they continue to try to get Michael the ball down low,
I mean, it might cause a problem down there, and they can get more open shots outside. Even though Micah hasn't had much basketball experience, he hasn't been playing in high school, but you know, he's not a bad talent out there.
No, he isn't. Played football as Wallace takes a long downtown three. And that came from NBA range. And it had no chance of being good. It was way off the mark. As we're down under 8 minutes to go in the first half. Horton calling the offense. He was recognized as one of the best players under 6 feet at junior college a year ago. Bounce pass off the right side. Jonathan Wallace can't get it to go. Missed the chip shot. Here's a timeout on the floor with 7:40 to go. A 22-15 ball game. Ball State trailing Georgetown. Georgetown leading by 7 points with 7:40 to go in the half. This is a team, Mark, that was picked to finish second in the preseason poll, mainly because of the play of Jeff Green and, of course, Roy Hibbert. You know, inside, there are only 2 seniors on this Georgetown team. You know, you're talking about Jeff Green. He is not a senior, and he's expected to come back just a junior next year.
Yes, he's expected to come back. I mean, Green, like I said, he's the focal point of this Georgetown offense. Everything is ran through him. As you can see, he has 5 points and 3 assists already.
When we talk about the seniors, Zarovich and along with Izzo, the only 2 seniors on the team, and they're not getting a lot of minutes. So here's a team that's loaded with young talent, juniors, sophomores, and people who can carry them again, hopefully, to the NCAA tournament.
Yes, hopefully these guys can come in and contribute, and hopefully they can go a long way in the tournament. I see since Roy Hibbert has been out of the game, Ball State has outscored Georgetown 11-6.
Talking about those juniors, Green and Hibbert and Patrick Ewing Jr., Tyler Crawford, Jonathan Wallace, all juniors. Also in the lineup now for Georgetown is Rivers, Jonathan Rivers, the son of Doc Rivers, the head coach, as Stovall hits the three-pointer, and it's 22-18, a 4-point ball game. Closest that Ball State has been in quite a while.
Giving these guys a lot of confidence out here. They believe they can play with Georgetown. And then they're going to make them start shooting the outside shot.
Well, you talk about, and you talk to Ronnie, and that loss that they had to Kansas, one of the top-ranked teams in the nation. They were down by 9 points at the half. Actually, they were down by 6, and Kansas hit a three-pointer right at the buzzer to go into the locker room. And here's a three-pointer at the other end for Jesse Sapp to make it a 25-18 ball game. But, you know, you take those 9 points and a turnover inside for 2. 4 quick points, and Jeff Green finishes it off, and it's 27-18, just like that. It was a 4-point game a moment ago, and now they've stretched it to 9. A 5-0 run.
Yes.
Let's look at that last bucket after the steal.
Yes. They come down out on the play. Jeff Green goes up pretty strong on the last shot. That was off a steal that he actually stole the ball.
There it is once again, the pass inside. Sapp with 5 assists already in the contest. That is equaling his season high. He had 5 against Old Dominion earlier this year. His career high is 6, and he's very much close to breaking that today. And there you see the triple threat on Jeff Green 2 years ago. Last year, 3.3 points a game, and look how he's improved each year.
He has gotten better every year. He's worked very hard over the summer. I've seen him this summer, and he has a little air about himself that, you know, he definitely wants to get better.
And we're going to go to the line for Ball State.
And I tell you, this Ball State team is sticking in there. I mean, Ronnie Thompson is doing a good job. He only brought in 6 new guys this year.
So DeJuan Summers picks up the personal foul. He averaged 20 points, that is Summers, and 9 rebounds a game a year ago at McDonough High, where he finished his career there with over 1,500 career points. Here's a guy who they feel can step into Jeff Green's spot should Jeff Green decide to leave. Meanwhile, Ames, the young man who recovering from the broken jaw. Misses the front end of the free throw, and McLemore will check in place of Stovall for Ball State. Ames, he's only been to the line. This is only his 8th free throw he's getting ready to attempt. He's only made 2 so far this year. The left-hander makes 1 of 2 now, and it's 27-19.
Here's Ball State back with this pressure defense. It looks like it's a light pressure defense. Just trying to take some time off the clock. That's all they're trying to do.
Under 6 minutes to go in the first half.
This game is pretty much the same as when they played Kansas. They stayed pretty close into that last 3 at the half.
And there's another three-pointer from downtown from DeJuan Summers this time. 30-19. The lead is back to 11.
I'm going to tell you, this kid, Summers, is a very good talent. He can shoot the ball. He can rebound. He can put on the floor. He's going to be something to wreck with in the next couple of years.
Came into the game shooting 2 of 7 from three-point range, and here's a turnover. Jesse Sapp to the front court. Pass off the green for 2. Or make that Summers for 2.
I tell you, this is a very unselfish team. These guys are getting out. They're passing the ball, making cuts. I mean, that's how basketball's supposed to be played.
Summers with 8 points off the bench tonight for the Hoyas. And there's a wide open miss that time for Perryman. He had the shot along the baseline and just didn't get it to fall. 13 points right now, the lead for Georgetown, and they get the rebound on the offensive side of the floor. And here come substitutions in for Georgetown. Coming into the lineup for the first time tonight is Patrick Ewing Jr. Coming back in is Jonathan Wallace along with Roy Hibbert. But let's watch the Summers finish on the layup on the great pass.
Here's Jesse Sapp coming down the lane, committed the other 2 defensive players and passed it off to Summers. And Summers looked like he's going to try to get his career high tonight again.
He might. Rivers into Hibbert. Rivers shot off the mark, and it'll be Georgetown retaining possession. Jonathan Rivers out of Winter Park, Florida, son of Doc Rivers. He's a freshman who averaged 13.6 points and 5.7 rebounds a game last year at Winter Park High School right outside of Orlando. And Doc somehow managed to see every one of his high school games at home. And they're going to call a foul inside. And Summers, the man who's been pretty strong lately, has 8 points. And he's going to go to the free throw line for 2.
What makes Summers so tough is that he can play inside and outside to be 6'8".
Payton picks up the personal foul. You look at Jonathan Summers there. Big and strong, physically mature. For a freshman, very promising. Came into the game averaging 6 points per contest. He was shooting 50% from the free throw line. He was 4 of 8 before those.
It's amazing how you can be a great shooter but not a good free throw shooter.
Because it's uncontested. 33-19, the biggest lead yet today for the Hoyas. They had led by 12, and then Ball State came back to cut it to 4, 22-18. But now, since that time, it's been an 11-1 run by Georgetown. Mills from downtown, no good. Offensive rebound. And the putback, no foul called as the putback by DeAndre Payton. Here come the Hoyas running the floor. Inside to Hibbert, back outside to Summers. Rivers down the lane. Lost the turnover. Skip Mills with it for Ball State. Going again, Wallace. And Wallace will pick up the blocking foul. And there's a timeout on the floor. Biggest lead of the evening so far for the Hoyas. They lead it by 14 with 3:27 to go. There's Gwendolyn Thompson, the mother of the 2 brothers. She had the big T-shirt made up. It says, you know, it's all good between brothers. Coming up at halftime, Big John, the dad. He'll be joining us. Plus, we'll look at the All Big East team and stats and highlights. Stay with us. 3:27 before halftime. There's Ronnie Thompson. Mom and dad in attendance here tonight. It's all good between brothers, huh?
Always all good between two brothers.
So you had a bulldog on one side and the cardinal on the other on those T-shirts that she had made up.
Yeah, people want to make this game bigger than really what it is.
Well, when you talk to Ronnie, we talked to him earlier today, you and I both, Mark, and I asked him, I said, has more been made out of this, or is this just another basketball game? He says, just another basketball game. We needed to play somebody.
Exactly.
It just happened to be Georgetown.
Exactly.
A lot of people said that they didn't want it to happen. Dad said he didn't think it was a good idea, but they never listened to him anyhow.
Exactly. I guess it's they're grown and out of the house now. You know, they can make their own decisions.
Yes, indeed. 33-20 after one of two free throws are made.
But John really didn't want to play the game. But, you know, they both had an opening date, so they both decided to go ahead and take the game.
Certainly did. Georgetown needed to fill out its schedule. Ball State was able to come to Washington, D.C. on the day that the Verizon Center here
this is what
was available. And there's a block, but they're going to call a foul.
Yeah, Georgetown has to be very careful. Can't get lax out here. I mean, Ball State is still going to press and try to play man and make this an ugly game. So they're going to have to be very careful with 3:24 left in this half.
You saw a shot there of Patrick Ewing Jr. wearing his dad's old number. It was retired, and they brought it out of the mothballs so Patrick Jr. could put it on.
And I'm sure a lot of people around here was wishing that he would play just like his father.
Patrick, right.
But they're two different type of players.
Patrick, of course, started his college career at Indiana and then decided to transfer. Had to sit out a whole year.
He has a lot of talent. He works very hard in practice. I mean, he has a lot of demeanor of his dad. I mean, he works very hard, very athletic.
So McLemore makes one of two, and a pressure on the defensive side of the ball by Ball State. But Georgetown having no problems breaking the press. Jeff Green gets it into the front court.
Georgetown right now has 12 assists on 13 field goals. They are really distributing the ball tonight.
Hibbert down low. Shot clock down under 15 now. Here's a spin by Green.
Good strong move by Green down there. Realized he had a smaller gap. The shot clock winding down. He was able to draw a foul.
Chris Ames will pick up the personal foul. The senior out of Wingfield High in Jackson, Mississippi. Right there. And Jeff Green will go back to the free throw line.
It went out.
He has 8 points in the ball game right now.
Jeff Green has improved every year. He wants to get better.
And he makes a pair of free throws, 35-21. 14-point lead once again for Georgetown. As Ronnie said, in that game against Kansas, you know, they were only down 9 points in each half, even though they lost by 18. When you look at the way they played, you see that back by Ewing coming over.
Yes, that's definitely a movement of his dad. His dad definitely used to do a lot of shot blocking. Like I said, Patrick is very athletic.
Nice play inside by Chris Ames. 35-23.
Georgetown still have to take care of the ball, though.
And Georgetown came into the game averaging 72 points a game while holding their opponents to 66, while Ball State came in averaging 62 points a game. Their opponents scoring about 60 points a contest. That shot thrown up that time by Sapp.
I didn't know if that was a shot or a lob to Roy.
It didn't look good, whatever it was.
But it worked out to their advantage. Here we talked earlier about how athletic Patrick is, and he's coming over on the help side to make that spectacular block. Looks like his dad on that one, doesn't he?
You know, we talked about the juniors on this Georgetown team, but Ronnie Thompson has some juniors over on that Ball State team. The thing is, the biggest unknowns, or a lot of questions about the juniors, especially with people like Mills and Stovall and Rolland, along with a couple of junior college transfers, and Horton, the point guard, and Redden, who played together a couple of years at the junior college and led their team to a 25-9 record in the tournament title a year ago.
Me knowing Ron and his philosophy, if he can get guys just to play hard and believe in his system, I mean, things will work out the way he wanted to work out. And the guys start to believe that they can win, they'll do some things down there in Ball State.
36-23 our score. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Stovall trying to get something going here. Georgetown last week was ranked 14th in one poll, 16th in another. But there's a three-pointer from Skip Mills.
That was great ball movement. I mean, they took their time, was very patient, got out a couple of traps, and moved over to Mills for the three-point shot.
And I'm sure Ronnie Thompson would like to go into the locker room at halftime and lose down in single digits. They're down by 10 right now. Now they have to make some defensive stops in order to let that happen. Here's Sapp getting loose. Passing back out to Green for three. It's good. And that's a killer right there.
That's always a killer. As I mentioned earlier, if you leave Jeff wide open, he has the ability to knock that shot down consistently.
12 points for Green. 13-point lead for Georgetown. That's a two-pointer.
Nice penetration, shot by Steve Horton.
Horton with the last basket. Lead is 11.
Ball State is doing a good job tonight. I mean, Monty has to be pleased, though. I mean, they're capable of going in either by single digits or maybe just by 10.
They're playing a zone defense right now, and they've switched up on the, as far as the defense is concerned, except for down low, they're like a matchup zone. And look at the little fellow, Ames, get up. That's his second personal foul. Ames comes in at 6'3", gives up almost a foot to Hibbert, and comes up and just about blocks this shot.
Yes, he almost got it, but you can see there he got all arm on that shot. But if Roy starts to continue to go to the basket like that and put a few down, I don't think nobody Ames' size is going to keep trying to block that shot there.
So Hibbert misses on the free throw with under 30 seconds to go in the half. 26.9 to be exact. Hibbert 2 of 4 at the free throw line. And you talk about the next game for Georgetown. They'll be playing Oregon on Wednesday, and then they travel to Duke to play the Blue Devils on Saturday. So it doesn't get any easier. I don't care who you are.
It doesn't get any easier for neither one of these teams. I mean, actually, the conference is getting ready to start, you know, after the holidays. I should say Christmas holidays. And I guess they're preparing now to get ready for that.
Georgetown's next 5 ball games, Oregon, and they'll go to Duke. They'll play James Madison or Roberts, and they'll play Winston-Salem. That Winston-Salem game will be played at McDonough Gymnasium. Ball State, they've been on the road quite a bit here last couple of days. They've been out to Vegas. They've traveled just about 4,900 miles since they left home last, I believe it was Wednesday. They went to Vegas, came here, and they're going back to Muncie, Indiana. They'll play Indiana State, Butler, Oklahoma State, Valparaiso, and Temple. Some big games coming up for the Cardinals of Ball State. Of course, they're in that very, very tough Mid-American Conference with teams like Ohio, Akron, Kent State, Buffalo, Bowling Green, and Miami, along with Northern Illinois, Toledo, Central Michigan, Western Michigan, and Eastern Michigan.
Actually, Ball State is doing a great job tonight. I mean, they played 5 games in 8 nights, and then had to come away from Las Vegas to come to DC to play Georgetown tonight.
And it's 40-28. 12-point lead for Georgetown. They've led throughout the game. Their biggest lead was 14 points, 33-19.
Ball State is going to hold for the last shot. Probably need to look for Mills probably to get that shot.
Shot clock down, or game clock down to 7, partially blocked as Perryman gets it off. And the rebound by the Hoyas of Georgetown. Sap.
Oh.
And they're going to call no basket on the buzzer and no foul.
Wow, that was a close one there. That was a foul. I thought he was going to call it.
Our score at the half, 40-28. They've led, that is the Hoyas, by as many as 14 points. They go into the locker room up by 12 right now. And Ronnie Thompson has to, or John Thompson, I should say, the third, has to feel pretty good about his team. And we'll be back with our halftime activities in a moment. (40-28) our halftime score. The Hoyas of Georgetown over the Cardinals of Ball State at the half. And we have the pleasure of joining us, the father of the two coaches here tonight. A lot has been made of this game. I know we don't want to beat the dead horse to death, but did you ever think when they were growing up that they will both be coaches?
No, I didn't think about it that way. I knew that they liked basketball and they spent a lot of time. In fact, they spent a lot of time with this fella that you have over here beside you. But I never thought of them in terms of coaching, no.
And they've taken, something from Dad, and they've put it to work. What do you see that reflects a lot of what you did as a coach?
Well, it's hard to tell because you meet so many people, and if you're smart, you would bar. They have had a lot of people in their lives, other coaches and other people, I think, and you borrow a little bit from everybody. One of the things that I'm proud of is that both of them are competitive. Both of their teams look very organized, and they're competing. The kids are competing and responding to them, and that's a good sign.
If you had to say, Coach, who would it be, John or Ronnie, in terms of coaching style, would probably implement how you coached when you were coaching?
Well, it's probably Ronnie, because of the fact that I coached him and he was around us and he played with you and all the guys that were around. I think that Ronnie probably in full court pressure, changing defenses, and as soon as he gets better athletes, they're going to be even tougher to play against. John probably bars a lot of the things I lipped at him. Ronnie saw a lot of the things that I did because he was in the gym with me most of the time.
When you look at the college season now and you see Florida getting knocked off by Kansas, and of course Ronnie played Kansas just before they came here, what do you see in terms of the season? It's always an up and down season.
Well, Charlie, it's indicative of what's happening in college. A lot of the cream is off the top. A lot of guys are going to the NBA very early. That's made that word that we like to use in sports relevant now, and that's parity. That you can't look at a team now and look at the institution and look at their school and think that they can't compete with you, or you're going to get knocked out. If John and them let Ball State stay in this game till the latter stages, they're going to have a problem. They got to take them out because most schools now, because of what George Mason did, they believe that they can beat you now.
They said when you were coaching, there was no beliefs like that. When you came into town, because you had one of the most feared teams in the decade of the 80s, 20 years ago, around the nation. I mean, there were a lot of people that were afraid of a lot of teams, but Georgetown was a team that people feared when you walked into the building.
Well, and a lot of that was because of guys like Mark and some of the good athletes that I was lucky enough to have. Also, the style of play. We played a lot more the way Ronnie's playing. We picked up full court. We trapped. We changed defenses. We tried to disrupt you and not let you settle down a lot. Back there in those days, a lot of the good athletes would have left if they were here today because they wouldn't have had an opportunity to be on the team. The pros would have taken. You got pro scouts in here now that are hovering over these kids that are playing there.
Hibbert and Green and people like that.
Exactly.
All right, John, it's always great seeing you. Thank you for joining us at halftime. 40-28 is our halftime score. The Hoyas leading Ball State by 12. 40-28 our halftime score. Georgetown over Ball State. And when you talk about Georgetown, you're talking about the Big East, a very competitive conference with 16 teams. And you're looking at Aaron Gray from Pittsburgh right here, player of the year, senior. There he is inside from Emos, Pennsylvania. One of 4 unanimous choices, along with Jeff Green from Georgetown and Roy Hibbert of Georgetown, who was also a unanimous choice. And the other unanimous choice from Marquette, Dominique James, a 5'11" sophomore guard. He's out of Richmond, Indiana. There he is, number 1. Little shake and bacon going inside. Dominic James from Marquette, the guard. And, of course, Pittsburgh was picked to win the whole thing in the preseason coaches poll. Georgetown picked to finish second. And we'll be back with more of our halftime activities. 40-28 is our score. Georgetown over Ball State. 40-28 our halftime score here. The Hoyas of Georgetown over the Cardinals of Ball State at the Verizon Center. Along with former Hoya Mark Tillman, I'm Charlie Neal. Glad you could be with us for this historic contest. We heard a lot of talk about what's going on, but now it's basketball on the floor, and the Hoyas have controlled the first half. And you're talking about Jeff Green coming in averaging just under 12 points per game. He's already hit that average tonight.
Yeah, Jeff has definitely hit that average tonight. He's made a couple of three-point shots. As you can see here, he knocked down a three-pointer. Like I said before, if you leave him wide open, he will definitely knock the shot down. And he's also making a tremendous impact on the offense in terms of distributing the ball as well. Also, then you have DeJuan Summers, who came in off the bench. He's a freshman, and she's looking like he's trying to get his career high, establish his career high again tonight. And see him here with a layup and hitting a three-pointer earlier.
And Green, of course, was the leading scorer for his team. But on the other side, there's Ball State taking it with Stovall, who's leading them in scoring with 9 points. And there again is Mr. Stovall. He is 4 for 4 from the field. But in terms of shooting percentage, Ball State 11 of 24. That's 45%. 14 of 25 for the Hoyas. That gives them a 56% shooting range in the first half. And you talk about turnovers, both teams have turned the ball over 7 times coming into the game. 13 turnovers an average for Georgetown, while Ball State was averaging coming into the contest 14 turnovers per contest. 40-28 our halftime score. Back with more in a moment. Back here, 40-28 as we get ready to start the second half at Verizon Center with Georgetown leading. Let's look at the leading scorers in this contest. Jeff Green leading all scorers with 12 points. He's shot 4 for 4 from the field, 2 of 2 from three-point range, and he's perfect at the free throw line. It doesn't get any better than that when you hit 100% of your shots, while DeJuan Summers is second for Georgetown with 9 points. As far as Ball State is concerned, Stovall leads them with 9 points. He's also perfect from the field and 1 for 1 from three-point range. Rolland with 4. Mills also with 4 points. And Jalon Perryman has 3 coming off the bench for Ball State. What do you do in the second half, you Ball State, Mark?
Well, they need to continue to play pressure defense. They don't need to deviate from what their game plan was. So this is a game of runs.
You know, we were talking to John, his dad at halftime, Ronnie Thompson's dad, and I asked him earlier today what he learned from the different coaches that he worked under. He said from Larry Brown, when he worked with the 76ers, he learned that you cannot be afraid of change. If things don't go right, make those changes. From Stan Heath at Arkansas, he said young coaches can run a program. A lot of people think you have to be older to have a successful program. Regardless of what people think, young coaches can get it done. From Jerry Green at Oregon, he said he learned organization. And from his dad, he said, don't look at the clock. He says, put in the time needed to get the job done. If you're supposed to be finished at 10 o'clock and it's not done, work till 11.
Exactly. Believe me, Coach Thompson definitely abide by those words, especially around the holidays.
Little alley-oop inside to Jeff Green, and he continues to be perfect. 14 points for him tonight.
That was good recognition to realize that Jeff Green had a smaller guy and just lobbed that to the basket.
The Hoyas equaling their biggest lead of the night right now. 42-28 is the score. Jonathan Wallace and Hibbert. Hibbert out high. Wallace with the long three. It's out. And they're going to get an over-the-back foul. It's either going to be against Hibbert or Sapp. Sapp was who picks it up. You know, you're talking about this team has two standouts with a supporting cast. When you're talking about Green and Hibbert, that supporting cast can challenge any team. You know, they talk a little bit earlier in the season about the backcourt being thin, but when you look at the way they played tonight, they don't look too thin, do they?
No, they don't look thin. They're playing exceptionally well, and they're handling the pressure pretty well, and that's what they need to continue to do.
You know, after the coaching change, and as you see Hibbert with a strong move inside, the coaching change at Ball State, 3 players left the squad. The one that I think the coach most regrets that left was a freshman player or freshman of the year, point guard Maurice Acker, who transferred to Marquette, but he transferred before Ronnie Thompson was named coach.
Yes, I think Ronnie was kind of disappointed that he left. I think he wanted to have an opportunity for this kid to play for him, because he definitely mentioned that this kid was very good. But that tends to happen when coaches changes come to these universities.
Yeah, Landon Adler went to Florida Gulf Coast University. He's a 6'10" post player. Pat Nelson went over to Wisconsin Green Bay. But the one he most would like to have back in the lineup is Maurice Acker. Now we're going to get a foul. Chris Ames picks up the personal foul. That is his 3rd. Rolland goes to the sideline now, and Payton checks back in for Ronnie Thompson and the Ball State Cardinals.
Good down low pass.
Yes, indeed. And
Jeff Green. Jeff Green continues to pad the stats on the assist top.
The lead is 14 once again, 46-32. Horton finally gets it off to Newell down the lane for 2. Boy, he found an opening and he took advantage of it.
Yeah, he definitely did. That was a good cut down the lane from Newell, and finished a great finish, Newell.
You know, you talk about this Ball State team, a lot of people may not be aware that one of the great shooters in the NBA came out of Ball State, Bonzi Wells.
Yes, definitely. Bonzi Wells is a great player. Ball State has basketball tradition there. There's been a school that has produced some good players that come out of the school.
Dwayne Clemens, Theron Smith, Chris Williams, all coming out of Ball State. Michael Rolland will check back in. Stovall will check out for Ronnie Thompson and the Ball State Cardinal. Make that Anthony Newell going to the bench rather than Stovall. That's Anthony Newell. Shot clock down under 10 seconds. And a pickup. I think John Thompson was a little upset that Wallace tried to dribble between 2 defenders with nowhere to go.
Right.
And lost the ball. Now let's see if Ball State can convert. That was tip going up. And here comes Wallace trying to atone for his mistake earlier. Gets it off. And it will not fall this time for DeJuan Summers. One of the few times he's missed a field goal tonight. And the lead is 12. 46-34 our score here. And 32 years ago and 7 radio stations ago, Rich Chavotkin made his debut as the voice of the Hoyas. And today he's celebrating his 1,000th game behind the microphone as the voice of Georgetown basketball. We should all be so lucky, and we want to say congratulations to Rich Chavotkin for what he's brought to the Hoya program in terms of radio broadcasting over the last 32 years. And we want to take a listen to Rich Chavotkin as he calls tonight's game on radio.
Newell, Mills, Rowland, as well as Perriman and Horton complete the quintet for Ronnie Thompson. And DeJuan Summers at the stripe to shoot. Summers thus far in the ball game 9, all in the first half. Coming off a career-high 17 game-high points in the win over Fairfield. And Summers now in double figures with 10, who joins Green's 14. While 9 points all in the first half for Perry Stovall to pace Ball State. Georgetown now leading 47-34, and Summers knocks down a pair. DeJuan Summers have 11, 10 of 13 from the line for the Hoyas. They're 18 of 30 from the floor, while Ball State 14 of 30 from the field. And Horton brings it front court. Georgetown leads at 48-34. Again, a 14-point margin for G-Town. Payton working on the left wing for the red-clad Ball State Cardinals. They swing it right rear of the circle to Julian Skip Mills, working against the Georgetown man-to-man. Driving down the lane is Newell, pull-up jumper at the elbow. No, they fight for the loose ball. Who controls? Jeff Green yanks it down. The ball knocked out of bounds. It'll go back to Georgetown, and they'll end down with 15:28 remaining in the ball game.
Rich Chavotkin, his 1,000th game as the Hoya broadcaster. You know, the Hoyas are celebrating 100 years of basketball this season, and he's broadcast 42% of their games over the last 32 years. So we again say congratulations, and if we get a chance, the Ball State announcer has been around a while. This is his 51st year. Maury Manis is here, and we got a chance to talk to him as we get the block downtown by Jeff Green. What a block by Mr. Green.
Yeah, that was great hustle. Jeff came down and got his shot back and hustled back down court to make the block. That was a great play. Here's Jeff Green again, coming down from the weak side to block it out of bounds. That was a great play.
Mills blocked Green, so Green blocked Mills. So payback is no crime, is it?
No, it's not. I guess he was upset because he got his block.
Yeah. Yep. I'll show you how it's done at the other end. Eggerson working inside against the defense by Payton.
Jeff Green tonight is playing a very, oh, here he is from deep. His first miss of the night, I believe.
Yeah, that's the other one was challenged, and he was fouled and went to the free throw line. But from downtown, yeah, that is his first miss. Coming back into the lineup for Ball State is Payton Stovall out of Lafayette, Indiana. You know, you're talking about basketball being a religion in the state of Indiana. And one of the things that, you know, Ronnie Thompson says there's a lot of talent in the state of Indiana to recruit from. But one of the other important reasons why he wanted to play this game is he has a lot of ties in the Washington, D.C. area. This is a good recruiting base, and he's going to use this also not only to play against Georgetown, but to do some recruiting while he's in town.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely going to use that to his advantage and, you know, make all his contacts while he's here and try to, you know, get an inside lead on some good players in the area or within the region.
You know, he has 3 kids on his team from California. The first time they ever had any California teams on this Ball State squad. Michael Rolland was the first kid he signed, a junior college kid at 6'10", number 2 in the lineup now. When he got the job, after he got the job, he was the first player he signed, and he was from California.
If you look at Ronnie's resume, he's been pretty much all over the United States.
He's been to Oregon and
East Coast, Midwest.
He's been everywhere.
He's been everywhere. So he probably has ties all over.
16-point lead now. This is the biggest lead for Georgetown today. 50-34. And a turnover now for Ball State. And another turnover as Horton comes out with it. And Newell just lets it get away. He took his eye off the ball. He was trying to get to the basket before he caught the ball. Like a receiver in football, you got to watch the ball in your hands first.
You definitely got to watch the ball. Sometimes you get greedy and want to score before it happens.
Basic fundamentals.
He was thinking about scoring before he even caught the ball. That happens to the best of us.
Jeremiah Rivers in the lineup right now for Georgetown. Vernon Macklin turns around inside, and it doesn't fall for him. Macklin at 6'9", a freshman out of Portsmouth, Virginia.
That wasn't a bad move by Macklin. I mean, he realized that he had a smaller guy on him, so he tried to take him to the basket. That's what he needs to do. You see a mismatch, you take advantage of it.
And here's Horton. This is a mismatch because Macklin is out on him. Now Macklin drops back and Horton puts the shot up, a three over Sapp, but it doesn't fall.
And that was one of the keys to the game that we talked about earlier, is that they have to make some shots if they get their shots, because they are a perimeter team. They don't have a lot of inside play, so they definitely have to make shots.
And here's a three-pointer from the corner. And that's put down by Mark Eggerson. 53-34, a 19-point lead. Biggest lead of the night. The Hoyas in control. A 7-0 run with 12:27 to go. (53-34). Georgetown in control with a 19-point advantage here. And don't forget to join us for our next local college basketball telecast right here on Masson. It's Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. when the Greyhounds of Loyola under head coach Jimmy Patsos host the Blue Hens of Delaware. It's an intersectional matchup. Here's Coach Patsos. Local college basketball is right here on Masson all season long. Log on to masson.tv for more information. Along with Mark Tillman, Charlie Neal here courtside at the Verizon Center. And you're looking at the Ball State team. They've gone cold here. They were down at the half, 40-28. And they've gone cold here in the second half. In fact, they've missed the last 6 shots and gone scoreless the last 4 minutes of this contest. They were down 12. They're now trailing by 19. They've been outscored 13-6 in the second half, make it 13-8.
That was a nice half-court set to get Mike with the ball down low for 2 points. Georgetown has kind of picked up their defensive intensity in the second half.
When you look at this Cardinal team, you know, between 1985 and 2003, they're going to call offensive foul?
Yeah, blocking foul looks like.
I think it's an offensive foul. Wow. Player control. Second one. And we'll come back to that thought in just a moment. John Thompson can't believe the call. Ronnie is happy with it. 11:53 remaining in the contest. 53-36 our score here with 11:53 to go in the contest, and Georgetown on top. Let's take a look at today's poll, the latest poll that came out in the USA Today, ESPN. Coaches top 25, Ohio State. Not only in football, but in basketball. They've moved up to the #1 spot from #3 a week ago. UCLA is second, followed by Pitt. Florida drops to 4th after their loss to Kansas, which moved up to 5th place. So that'll be very interesting as the season goes along, and those things will change many, many times, believe me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parity in college basketball this year, so you're going to see a lot of changes in the poll this coming season. As you can see early in the year, several top 10 teams have already lost, including Georgetown.
Ball State only 33% from the field in the second half. Georgetown shooting went down, but they're still shooting at a 50% rate as opposed to 56% in the first half. But really a poor shooting for the Cardinals of Ball State. And I was about to say before the break, between 1985 and 2003, Ball State had at least one Mid-American Conference player on the roster while winning 6 MAC tournaments. They had none that were named to the All-MAC team in 2004, and a second-team player in 2005, and Dennis Trammell. And last year, of course, Skip Mills, who's in the lineup now, and he's a preseason #1 for Ronnie Thompson and the Ball State Cardinals. And there's Skip Mills with the ball in his hand with the shot clock down under 10 seconds right now, and a knockaway by Mr. Rivers.
Yes, his father was a great defensive player as well.
Jeremiah Rivers, whose father coaches the Boston Celtics right now. If they're not on the road, I wouldn't be surprised if he's here. Probably sitting there watching somewhere.
Yeah, I've seen him at a couple of games this year.
Down the lane, there's a pass off to Michael Rolland that doesn't go his way. As the shot clock was winding down, Sapp down the lane, turns around, passes off. Here's the shot from the corner, way off the mark. Macklin with the rebound for 2.
That was a great rebound by Macklin to get in position. That's one thing he can do well. He's a very good rebounder, and he got himself into position to get that offensive rebound. Again,
a 19-point lead and a turnover for Ball State. And that's the thing that'll kill you more than anything. If you can just protect the basketball, this Ball State team came in averaging only 14 turnovers per contest. They have 11 in the game so far tonight.
Well, Georgetown is not a bad defensive team either. I mean, they can start putting pressure on people with the athletes that they have.
Well, they came in only with 4.7 steals per contest. Blind pass to Macklin from Rivers for 2.
One thing I like about Jeremiah Rivers is that he would definitely put pressure on the defense and try to get the big man involved when he sees a man committed. He would definitely give the ball up.
Almost to the midway point of the second half and a 21-point lead for Georgetown. Macklin doing the job inside. Rollins dishes it outside. There's the baseline move off the glass. And a good basket that time for Anthony Newell. Newell, the sophomore from Chicago Simeon High, team's leading scorer coming into tonight's game. He has 6 points, all of them coming in the second half. He came in averaging 12 points per contest.
Well, look, if you can see Jeff Green, he's so talented. He's bringing the ball up, you know, telling the guards to clear, and he brings it up. I mean, that's a big talent to have a 3 or 4 man to be able to bring the ball and break the pressure.
Newell picked up that personal foul after the basket by Newell, and he has 3 personals tonight.
The freshmen are playing very well for Georgetown tonight. Vernon Macklin is playing well, getting himself into position, getting rebounds and putting it back, as well as DeJuan Summers coming in and hitting his shot and cutting to the basket and making easy baskets.
And, of course, you have Jonathan Wallace, who's been running the offense from the point guard spot. But he's not a freshman. He's a junior.
He's a junior. But Jeremiah Rivers is coming in and making some good plays, putting pressure on the ball.
Summers and Rivers and Macklin have done a very good job from the freshman perspective. Shot clock down to 3 seconds. Sapp in trouble. Backs out. Takes the shot. In and out.
Georgetown, that's the guard's responsibility to be aware of the shot clock, especially if the point guard. You have to be aware of the shot clock.
What is your fondest memories of these 2 coaches here tonight from your playing days in high school with both of them?
Well, John was a very good player. Very smart player, as you can see in his coaching style. He played the same way. Ronnie was a great jump shooter. When you leave it open, he would definitely knock it down. He wasn't bashful at all.
Gonzaga was where both of them started their high school career. That's where you met them. At Gonzaga, as Rollins gets the basket inside, but Ronnie eventually transferred to Flint Hill.
Yes, he eventually transferred to Flint Hill. He thought that it would be a better opportunity for him, you know, at another school. And it worked out well for him. He got a scholarship to come over and play over here with his dad.
It's kind of ironic. He said that he really wanted to go away, but his dad and mom decided he needed to go to Georgetown so they could keep an eye on him to make sure he did what he was supposed to do as far as going to class, things of that nature, and he did, and he graduated.
Exactly, and that's one of Georgetown's traditions. If you come through the doors, most likely you're going to graduate from there.
Well, they talk about 98 of the 100 basketball players that stayed all 4 years graduated from Georgetown.
That was one of the reasons why I went to Georgetown.
And you're doing well. And I'm proud to be sitting here next to you.
Thank you.
Newell at the free throw line. 57-40 is our score right now. The lead was up to 21 points a little while ago for Georgetown.
The most difficult thing about this kind of game is when you have a big league like Georgetown has, is to maintain your concentration. Not letting teams get easy baskets, turning the ball over.
Newell traveled. He had it with 1 foot. Looked like a receiver in football trying to get both feet down. But he shuffled that 1 pivot foot twice.
Yes, he did.
He only had 1 foot on the floor.
But we give him an A for effort.
You know, Ronnie Thompson didn't start his career after college in the coaching ranks. He worked on Wall Street for a while before getting a coaching job as an assistant. There's Rivers bringing it up the floor for the Hoyas. Down to under 8.5 minutes to go in the contest. Rivers hand-checking foul, and this is going to go against Ames.
I tell you, I like the Rivers kid.
That's 4 on Chris Ames. He fouled out against Kansas in that tournament out in Las Vegas with no points. Skip Mills is going to check out of the lineup for Ball State. Delon Perryman checks in. Hibbert comes back in for Georgetown, and he'll be joined in the lineup right now by Dewan Summers. Also, Skip Mills is now going to come back in because I think the Ames, who picked up the personal foul, his 4th, he was supposed to come out. He decided he's going to stay in the game.
Yeah.
Coach said, yo, you need to come over here with me. You've got 4 fouls.
Yeah. Some guys just don't want to get out the game. They get so caught up. They want to stay in the game.
You know, he's been out with that broken jaw. I guess he said, I'm going to get all the playing time I can.
Yeah, he didn't miss so many games.
Jump ball, alternating possession hour will favor Ball State in the Cardinal.
It's good hustle. I like to see guys get on the floor after that ball.
One of the things that Ronnie said, he's been excited about the energy level of his team. The big obstacle which happens whenever there's a coaching change, because there were 6 new faces into the Ball State lineup in terms of players, 5 new coaches, and you have to get that chemistry going.
Exactly. That's very important. A lot of people probably don't know where Ronnie is coming from. And, you know, like I said, if the guys just get out here and play hard, I mean, Ronnie would definitely play him because that's what he wants. He wants kids to get out here and get after it, don't be scared, and get out here and just play hard.
Under 8 minutes to go. Nice pass inside, and Hibbert's going to be called for the personal foul as Rollin went down low, and we'll take a timeout when we come back. Rollin will go to the free throw line for 2. 7:48. The time remaining. 17-point lead for the Hoyas. 57-40 our score. Along with Mark Tillman, I'm Charlie Neal here at the Verizon Center for this intersectional matchup. The Hoyas leading Ball State. Jeff Green has been the man of the night for the Hoyas. 14 points for Mr. Green, and he's gotten them all kinds of ways, Mark.
Yes, Jeff Green is definitely the focal point of this offense. Everything is ran through him. As you can see, he's one of the top assist leaders on the team, and he's one of the top scorers as well. But he definitely makes great decisions with the ball, and you can't teach a big man to do that.
He came into the game needing 143 points for 1,000 career points. His career high is 22. So far this season, his high is 19, and that came against Vanderbilt earlier. And right now, he has 14. And no turnovers. First 4 games, 17 assists, 17 turnovers. 14 points tonight.
One thing I like about Jeff Green is he is so unselfish. He doesn't mind sharing the wealth with the other guys on the team.
Hamlin, I should say Rollin rather, at the free throw line. Misses both. Pressure in the backcourt being applied by Ball State, but no problems getting it in the front court for Mark Eggerson, the sophomore out of Glasgow High in Wilmington, Delaware, who had a double-double against Old Dominion in that loss at McDonough. 10 points, 11 rebounds. Rivers has played some very quality minutes tonight, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He's played very good. He's been putting pressure on the defense when they're in their man-to-man.
Here's Wallace with the jumper. No good. Battle for the loose ball. And here come the Ball State Cardinals with Perryman running the floor. Stovall. He bracks it out. Starts the offense all over again. Shot clock down to 12 seconds, and there's a three-pointer by Skip Mills.
That's Mills, the all-conference player. They're expecting big things out of him this year.
Mills right now with 7 points, which is, of course, this year he's been below his average. Skip Mills came in averaging 11.3 points per contest. He had 20 points in 9 games a year ago. In fact, had 34 points in a contest against Eastern Michigan a year ago in the regular season, and 38 in the Mid-American Conference tournament against Buffalo. So he can light it up.
He definitely can put points on the board. One thing about speaking with Ronnie when we spoke to him this morning is that he loves Skip Mills. He plays so hard, and that's one of the things that Ronnie wants his players to do is play hard.
Newell had trouble with the, and there's going to be a foul on Rollin. He grabbed the arm of Hibbert, and that is Rollin's second personal foul. And I think Rollin may be a little winded. He wants to come out unless he got injured. Maybe bleeding. Maybe got a bloody nose because he's over on the sideline. He may have got hit in the nose or something because they've got the trash basket under him. It looks like he is bleeding over on the sideline.
Either that or he's throwing up because he's tired. Hopefully he's okay, though.
You're talking about this Georgetown team. You know, many people were asking a few years back if they even had a chance to get back to the NCAA tournament. Now people are asking if they're going to be a number 1 or 2 regional seed. You know, John Thompson III has quieted a lot of doubters.
Oh, he definitely has. He's brought in some great players. He's done a great job here in the 3 years that he's been here.
Stovall picks up the personal blocking foul. It's his first. Here's Rivers. Hibbert, the spin inside for 2.
That was a great move by Roy Hibbert. Actually, that's one of his favorite moves. He take you right, hard right, and spin back to the left for a layup or a dunk.
9 points, 3 rebounds for the 7'2" Roy Hibbert out of Adelphi, Maryland. He attended Georgetown Prep, and he is a junior. He's the team's leading scorer coming in with 15 points a game, averaging 6 rebounds, and they can't get it to fall inside.
That was a good block by DeMar Summers to come over and help.
Roy
Hibbert has been playing very well tonight.
Roy Hibbert last year averaged under 12 points a contest, 7 rebounds in 24 minutes, but here's a 3-pointer. Rivers, Jeremiah Rivers, that's his first 3-pointer of the year. It's only the second one he's taken, but he made that one good.
Enough can't be said about the freshmen tonight. They're definitely contributing and playing a steady game tonight.
We're down to the 4.5-minute mark. 3rd personal foul of this game, and here's the first collegiate 3-pointer for Jeremiah Rivers out of Winter Park, Florida.
That was a great shot. He got it in the floor of the offense. He didn't rush the shot.
You know, he came out of high school down in Winter Park, averaging 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. His high this year, season-wise, was 4 points against Fairfield University, and that was their last outing at Georgetown 1. They started the season with a pair of wins, or 3 wins before, I should say 2 wins before losing to Old Dominion University. Now they're in a 4-minute range of picking up their 4th win of the season to go 4-1. They dropped a little bit in the polls this week from 16 to 23rd, but they're still one of those teams, you know, coming into this weekend. The Big East had 5 teams in the top 20. Only conference to have that many in the top 20. No other conference had more than 3 teams in the top 20.
Yes, and there's probably going to be a big cry out during the end of the season, because last year I think they had 8 teams that make the NCAAs last year, and then they'll probably have another one this year.
Well, let's look at the Big East preseason poll. You see Pittsburgh was picked to finish first ahead of Georgetown. followed by Syracuse, Marquette, UConn, Louisville, Villanova, and DePaul, rounding out the other 8: St. John's, Providence, Notre Dame, West Virginia, Cincinnati, Rutgers, Seton Hall, and USF. Had a chance to see Seton Hall a couple of days ago, and they're not a bad-looking team. They have a big kid named Grant Billmeyer, who came in and gave them a big lift, and if he comes through and has a pretty good year, they're going to be all right. Jump ball, alternating arrow will favor Georgetown now.
I like the fact that Jeff Green, made a careless mistake with the ball, but he hustled back and dove on the floor for the ball. I love to see guys get on the floor and get for the ball.
Very, very important.
A possession is everything.
We talked about the Mid-American Conference. The leading scoring team, top scoring team in that conference is Northern Illinois. They're unbeaten. Ohio's also unbeaten in the Mid-American Conference. Northern Illinois averaging 85 points per contest. VMI, the leading scoring team in the conference, averaging, well, they came in to this weekend averaging 84 points, 84 points a game, or more than that, I should say, 104 points a game. They scored 111 in a loss.
Wow.
To Howard University. Howard won that one, 115-111.
Was that in regulation?
That was in regulation. It wasn't overtime. We thought it was an NBA game. And I'll tell you, one of the things you look at VMI, they start shooting when they get off the bus. They shoot from the parking lot. And I'll tell you, they can hit them. That
reminds me of the old Loyola Marymount team,
yes,
the Hank Gathers guy.
63-44. 19 has been the biggest lead for Georgetown this evening. And they continue to lead it by 19 with under 4 to go. Stovall has it blocked. Knocked away by Hibbert. He has a pair of blocks tonight. Came into the game with 15 block shots. Pass down low, knocked away. They were trying to get it to Summers. DeJuan Summers, the freshman. And he's playing good defense in the corner with Sapp. Cardinals managed to get it out of there, though. They'll play Indiana State at home on Saturday. That is Ball State. Blocked again. There's another block. 2 straight times down the floor. And Hibbert comes up with the block. And Newell comes up with a bloody nose. He caught an elbow from Hibbert after the rebound. There's a timeout on the floor. 3 minutes and 1 second remaining in this contest. And here's Hibbert working inside. The spin move for 2. .44 Georgetown over Ball State, and balanced scoring for the Hoyas, but most impressive was the play of the freshman and Mr. Hibbert. 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 block shots for the 7'2" junior.
See that Coach Thompson, John Thompson that is, has 3 freshmen out there that are playing very well along with Patrick and Jesse Sapp. Freshmen have been doing a very good job tonight. Not getting rattled by the Ball State pressure defense. They've been handling the ball and taking care of the ball.
Yeah, he's got to be happy, John Thompson, about the play of his freshman. That's one of the freshmen at the free throw line now, DeJuan Summer. He has 11 points in the contest out of Baltimore High. Had his first college start against Fairfield, their last outing. 17 points and 3 rebounds in that one. Now giving 12 points in this contest. Also Mr. Macklin with 8 points off the bench. And Jeremiah Rivers with 3 points, but he also has 3 assists coming off the bench.
Yes, he's doing a very good job of controlling the offense and running the offense.
Biggest lead of the night for Georgetown. 20 points right now. Under 3 to go. Jumper no good. Rivers with the rebound. Bad, wide open Macklin with his 10th point.
That was a good look up for Jesse Sapp to keep his head up while dribbling, and Vernon Macklin just ran to the center of the basket and just got the ball for an easy dunk.
He has 10 points. And, of course, again, we're talking about these freshmen. That's 22 points from the bench for the freshmen tonight for Georgetown. Make it 20, well, more than 20 points, but 20 between those two. Skip Mills with the reverse layup.
Well, we know that's what he can do because he is a big scorer for this Ball State basketball team. If Georgetown can continue to get this contribution from these freshmen out here, they're going to be a tough team to deal with when they come to tournament play and also for conference play.
Yeah, especially in the Big East. Mills with 9 points tonight. Ewing with a 3, and he buries it. There's another freshman contributing. I say freshman, a newcomer, I should say, not a freshman.
Exactly.
Ewing with 5 points, including that 3. And there's the long rebound, and it comes out. The Hoyas are running. Macklin, little alley-oop off the glass. Rivers is there. Battle for the loose ball. Here comes Ball State.
Jesse Sapp gave Vernon Macklin that ball too early. He should have made that defender commit to him before he gave him the ball because he would have had an easy dunk.
Let's check out some of the other scores going on around in the Big East. Syracuse with an 8-point victory over Holy Cross. South Florida in overtime, all tied up with Stetson, while Notre Dame leading Lehigh by 9 at the half. Seton Hall trying for their second straight win over St. Peter's, 50-32. Marquette trailing Valparaiso by 4 in the second half. All Big East action. 69-46, our score.
So we got the guards getting in the block shots now.
The biggest lead of the night by Georgetown, 23 points. Let's watch the block once again.
Here's Jeremiah Rivers playing good defense. I guess he said if the big man can do it, I can do it too.
And this foul is going to be whistled inside, score the basket, and Farad Zdarevic picks up the personal foul. There's Zdarevic from Serbia and Montenegro. Also, Kenny Izzo checking in out of Chicago's Fenwick High. There's the foul on Zdarevic. And Ames will go to the free throw line. So John emptying his bench now, putting in Izzo. Izzo has no points this year, neither does Zdarevic. And the free throw by Ames makes it a 20-point ball game, 69-49. And here's a steal by Ames going baseline, reverses it, no good. Loose ball battle. Horton comes up with it. From downtown, this one doesn't fall for Perryman. And it'll stay on Georgetown's end as the pass was intended from Macklin. We're under a minute to go in this one. Georgetown en route to their 4th win of the year. The Cardinals, they have dropped 3 straight. This will be their 4th straight loss after starting the season 2-0. Here's a turnover. Ames to Horton. Horton right side. Mills. He's got to get his. Ames inside will go back to the line. And this foul is going to be whistled against Izzo. Georgetown takes on Oregon on Wednesday. Then they travel to Duke on Saturday. Ball State will be at home on Saturday against Indiana State.
I know they're glad to be back home after being on the road for so long.
Yes, they have. Here's the second shot for Mr. Ames. And he makes them both.
Ronnie's still over there coaching, having these guys pick up full court.
Ames with 8 points. Macklin inside. Outside to Zdarovic. Misses the long 3 attempt. Everybody was rooting for him to knock that one down. At the other end, though, it is knocked down that time for Anthony Newell. 69-54 is our score. They've been losing by an average the last 3 games of 14 points per game. Izzo backs it out with 3 seconds to go. They want him to shoot it. He's just going to let the clock run out. They wanted Izzo to take the shot. The fans did. And here the two brothers about to meet.
That might have been a smart play from not to let him take the shot.
Here's Dad, John the second. Of course, Ronnie has a son. I should say John the third has a son. John the fourth. He's 5 years old.
Yes,
the middle of 3 children. And there's Dad. I guess there are no winners in this when it comes to family. Somebody had to win and somebody had to lose, and we'll be back to wrap things up from Verizon Center in just a moment. Final score 69-54. Georgetown led by 12 at the half, and they kept the lead between 12 and 20 the whole second half and led by as many as 23 before winning at 69-54. But the play of the freshman, Mark Tillman, has to be very impressive, not only to the coach, but to everybody associated with Georgetown.
Oh, yes, it's a very good feeling for the freshmen to come out and contribute the way they did. We have
Dewan Summers
making jump shots. You have him cutting to the basket and making layups, and you have Summers scoring 12 points. You have Macklin having 10 and Rivers having 3 for 3 with about 4 assists. But it's very good to have a freshman crew out there and contributing the way they did tonight. If they can continue to do that throughout the year, they're going to be a force in the conference.
And you saw one of the 3 assists as Rivers fed Macklin right there, and then of course Rivers a 3-pointer there. And that's what he wound up with, 3 points, 3 assists. Your thoughts on Georgetown as we get ready for conference play in the last month in preseason, as we like to call it?
Well, they still have a tough one coming up this weekend with Duke, so that's not too much of a preseason stuff. But they're going to go down there. Like I said, the freshmen can continue to play the way they're playing, get that contribution off the bench, and then hit their outside shots. They're already going to have the inside play from Roy Hibbert and Jeff Green. Like I said, they're going to be tough to deal with this year.
And, of course, Ball State, of course, Ronnie Thompson in his first year as the head coach, and you can see the signs of greatness. He's going to turn that program around, and they're going to be back in the winning track in the not-too-distant future. Well, the final score, 69-54. Georgetown over Ball State. For Mark Tillman, Charlie Neal saying so long, and inviting you to join us for our next college basketball telecast Wednesday at 7:30. The Greyhounds of Loyola host the Blue Hens of Delaware. And this has been a presentation of the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. Again, the final score, Georgetown wins it over Ball State 69-54. Good night from the Verizon Center.